3 months ago, I was living in a 2008 Casita RV and working on site at one of the toughest properties in our portfolio. Fast forward to today, I'm working with our billionaire founder on some strategic projects that are going to reshape the real estate prop tech world. Here's what I learned along the way. I'll just flash back to when I quit my job and I was turning in my 2 weeks, and how everybody at my company thought I was crazy, taking Afterpay, moving into an RV, moving back to the city I grew up in. And I see why. I do see why. My family said the same thing. It's a big, you know, life change to go from living in a cushy apartment, making six figures, into a tiny RV, making Afterpay, working at a tough property. But I think it's important to be uncomfortable, and I think you never really know where it could lead you to. The character it builds in you, the story that you're able to tell, and the story that people hear through the grapevine. Because that's what really happened to me, is people just heard my story through the grapevine, and it got up to the CEO, and so he pulled me into the strategic project role, and wanted me to work directly with him, because builders respect other builders. And so if there's somebody that you look up to, think about what they would do if they're in your shoes, and do the same thing. I don't know that this would be the same thing that the billionaire founder would do, but I just, this is a big swing that I knew I wanted to take, and it paid off. I've noticed that every time I've taken a big swing like this, it's paid off. And if it doesn't, it's a story you will someday tell. So when I joined this program, it's a leadership development program to teach you real estate operations. That's how they tee it up. They try to get new grads in and basically train them up on all things real estate to eventually become leaders in the company. And I joined as a 3-year, graduate. I graduated 3 years ago, is what I'm trying to say. And I think I was kind of not their typical program participant, in that I've been in sales for a couple years, making good money. And they didn't know all the story at the time, because when I interviewed, I was still working the sales job. I had moved into an RV. I was just a normal guy, making pretty good money, that wanted to change because I was burnt out. Of course, I wasn't telling them I was burnt out. I don't think that really shows well in an interview. Just told them how much I love real estate, and I think they could sense the passion of it, because I couldn't hide it. I love real estate, and so I was just being authentic about it. And so after 4 or 5 interviews and deep reference checks, probably 10 different reference checks of all the people that I worked with in the past, going back to high school, interviewing with the chief of staff, they eventually offered me a job, and after a couple months, finally accepted it, and then moved down. And that's when I took those big swings, and moved into an RV and everything. And after a month on the tough site, that's when they pulled me from it, because I think the biggest thing was just the fall through, because I spoke about it on the phone with them, on the interviews, of how I've been thinking about getting an RV, thinking about doing this, thinking about getting a vending route down there so I can afford this change. And I did all of it. I followed through on all of it. And you know I can talk a big game, but the biggest thing is that I'm gonna follow through on it. I don't say If I say something, I'm gonna do it, and that's how I've treated every single thing. When I'm on site at the property, I don't treat any job as above me as any job, or any job as below me. I just go and do the work, because that's what's required. And I think that's people overcomplicate what it takes to succeed, but that's the truth. Is most people don't even do that. Most people think they're above certain work. They think they're above picking up trash. They think they're above going and helping the maintenance team. But it's not true. You're not above anything. Just go and work hard and do good for other people, and genuinely be a servant leader for others, and you can achieve anything you want. You can be the greatest leader in the world if you're just a servant leader, want to help others, want to make them succeed. The more people you help, the more it helps you too. It's pretty amazing what you can do. It's simple. It's simple though. So what's it like working with a billionaire founder? One is they are incredibly fast. They are just quick with everything. Things move at such a fast speed up here, it's hard to keep up, honestly. You're drinking from a fire hose. There's a lot of ambiguity, a lot of pressure, of course, a lot of visibility, a lot of high expectations, for sure. You really have to pick things up quick, because the founders thinking 10 years down the future, and they're thinking about these big initiatives. This is what I'm working on right now. And you can't be the one that's asking the dumb questions. You got to just figure it out yourself. So our motto is, well, I won't say our exact motto, because you might figure out the company, but I say it's figure it the fuck out. Figure it the F out. FitFo. That's what we strive for, is to jump into a problem, figure it out, fix it, and then move on. That's what our team is for specifically. We're basically the special forces team that goes in, fixes a problem, gets out, goes to the next one. And that's the idea. He thinks of us as entrepreneurs that are boots on the ground that can go and, you know, take some direction and then find the problem, solve it, and then move on. A lot of things that I've definitely learned is they're not afraid to fail either. We had a recent go-to-market motion with some of the tech products that we're rolling out, and it's been a kind of a failure so far, to be honest with you. Making 100 cold calls per day, getting my teeth kicked in there, and they expect it. They don't expect everything to go perfectly. They expect you to get feedback, because all it is they're going to make an improvement. They're going to find a way to improve a 1% every single day. They're not expecting the first go-to-market motion to be a success, because that's how they built the business. The business started as a parking garage service and then became a property management company, and now goes into tech. So they make big swings, and then they make pivots. They're quick to make the pivots. If the market doesn't seem like it's picking up on things, all right, let's move here. But at the same time, they have those long-term plays like the real estate company. They're going to keep that because it's the engine for the rest of the big plays that they have. I try to do that the same with myself, just on a smaller scale with the vending machine stuff. The vending machine stuff is kind of my engine. It keeps things going, maybe gets me a little bit of cash flow, kind of keeps me in that mind state. But then I have other plays that are going to be long term that might not take off for a while. YouTube's not going to take off for a while. The real estate stuff is one of those longer, slower plays. I got to save up money for that. But the skills that I'm building with all of these are going to be the foundation for everything. So I just try to focus on that. But yeah, that's really all I have for y'all in today's video. If y'all have any questions, or feel free to leave them down in the comments. Happy to answer. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.